Here we are at the premiere of the movie Born Racer, and it's Blair Julian, who is one of the few people that have been with Scott Dixon for every one of his 44 career victories and all 5 of his championships. Blair, what's it going to be like tonight seeing Scott as a movie star?
I think it's going to be quite intriguing how the story's told, I guess. It's kind of curious to see how they're going to sort of throw a story out there.
And you are also from New Zealand. I know when we spoke earlier this season about you knew of Scott, but you didn't really know Scott until you came over to the Indy Lights program with Stefan Johansson in the late 90s. Talk about how your relationship with Scott really developed from there.
Well, it was just really a chance sort of meeting that we got together at Johansson's, and then kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say grew up together, but certainly developed our sort of careers a little bit from Indy Lights onto the IndyCar deal, so fun times.
What does Scott mean to everybody down in New Zealand?
Oh, he's a huge, huge celebrity down there, big inspiration for a lot of those motorsports guys down there, and it's been good to sort of see his profile grow over the years down there.
And as far, though, as your job as the chief mechanic, the crew chief, you've had that role for quite a while. If you could just explain to our listeners how the whole system works, from working with Chris Simmons and the engineering staff to working with Scott Dixon on car setup.
Yeah, so ultimately sort of going between the engineering staff and the crew, trying to make sure all the correct parts are on the car, the car's built to the correct spec, and then just sort of being the voice from Scott. If he's got issues with the car, I can go back to the mechanics and try to figure it out, and work with Chris mainly on direction on setup.
You've been with Scott for so long, do you almost kind of think on the same page all the time?
Yeah, you can kind of tell by body language and sort of the way the weekend's going, what sort of things are bothering him or what might we be looking at doing. So yeah, it's a good relationship. It's been a fun ride.
And with the way that he drove that final race of the year to win the championship, he pretty much did exactly what he had to do, which was finish second. Alexander Rossi had made a mistake at the very start of the race, so in a lot of ways you probably knew he was still going to make a charge, but as long as he didn't get ahead of Scott, Scott's going to win the championship.
Yeah, I mean, very stressful sort of leading up to that race, but obviously that first lap sort of determined the direction a little bit, so it was good to see.
And is it also really stressful when there are still some things that are out of the driver's control that could still happen to him, say, over 30, 40 laps of hard racing in an 85-lap race?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you always got the yellow flags or a mechanical issue that might sort of spring up, which is a bit stressful, but pit stops obviously are a big deal, so getting through those all smoothly was good.
And what was Scott like in his Pac West days when you started working with him, and even his Indy Lights days when he came up? Because he was really had some great seasons in Indy Lights the 2 years he was there.
I think very similar with the driving side. It's just just his personality and training habits and the way he sort of lived his life was a little bit changed, but yeah, same at the track.
Okay, Blair Julian, crew chief for Scott Dixon at Chip Ganassi Racing. Thank you for joining us today at Autoweek.
Thanks for having me.